Let's talk to Maxwell Marlow, who's Director of Research at the Adam Smith Institute and joins us now. A very good morning to you, Maxwell.
Good morning, Julia. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. There's lots to talk about Rachel Reeves being in Davos, not playing a big role. When she was Shadow Chancellor, she was invited to do a keynote speech. Apparently she was invited but turned one down, I am told. But she's arriving at Davos facing, numerous battles back at home in terms of, rising unemployment, zero growth, battles over investment. Is there any point her being there?
I think so. There's some really big wins from the government yesterday. We saw some good announcements when it comes to airport expansion, whether that's Heathrow, Luton, Gatwick. Also some new news about removing blockages in the planning system. And I think speaking to lots of businesses and investors, as we do at the Adam Smith Institute, we find that actually these are the big constraints holding back investment and growth in the UK. So that's firstly good news for her, and she can go and talk about that. The other big thing is political stability. And she's been really clear to go out to Davos and say, look, if you're a big business, you've got lots of money to spend, the UK is a great place to put it because we're not going to be changing governments just as the Tories did a few years ago. So I think it's really important to remember why she is there courting big business. But that doesn't excuse her from coming back and setting out the big challenges ahead facing the country. Well,
indeed. And you've got to wonder about why anyone would want to come and invest in this country when our energy prices are among the highest in the world. I mean, I imagine you won't invest in Germany either. And you've got America facing this boom. AI, they're putting in huge amounts of money in AI. AI, we're told, is the big future. She wants to put, $500 billion or something investment into AI. Well, you can't have AI en masse in this country because energy prices are too high. For industry, I think it's 5 times higher than they are in America. I mean, this is all for the birds, this stuff, isn't it?
Some of it is, but we do struggle to build data centres in the UK. A lot of that is down to energy emergency. He said open the taps, and that could be good for Britain. We get most of our imported energy from the US through liquid natural gas, and the Americans are the world leaders in doing that. So
that's probably better if we got it from our own fracking or our own drilling in the North Sea, wouldn't it? I mean, that's what Norway does. That they seem to do quite well at doing that. You mentioned planning's a big issue, and that comes up with the airport expansion. It is absolutely fascinating, her talking about the third runway at Heathrow, Gatwick, second runway, and expanding at Luton as well. Now, I'm all in favour of all of this, and I'll probably in my garden hear some of the noise, but we know how important this is. You look at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam; they've got 6 runways, for goodness' sake. China builds that many new runways every week, virtually. And it is extraordinary how much being even a hub airport, even those people don't set foot out of an airport, how crucial that is for business expansion, for investment. And it's something that's difficult to grasp, but it really, really does make a difference. Thing is, most of the cabinet, including people like Keir Starmer said climate was a far bigger issue than airport expansion at the last vote, voted against airport expansion, the third runway. He also, by the way, voted against HS2, but on different grounds. So he doesn't want people to get on a train. You don't know how to drive or get on a train or go on an aeroplane. But realistically, I mean, Ed Miliband, who's a complete net zero, obsessive and fanatic, he and many other members of the front bench, the Labour Party, are going to be hugely opposed to this, as is every environmental group, as is the Climate Change Committee. There could easily be legal challenges in the courts under the net zero legislation, which would stop these things from going ahead.
That is a possibility, but legislation already exists for the government to overrule a lot of these ahead of time. So they're called special development orders and development orders. It's something we've looked at last year with a couple of research publications we put out. The Chancellor, Keir Starmer, the Chancellor, and Angela Rayner have the power to just railroad through and get this stuff sorted. Let's remember, the third runway at Heathrow would already have been built if David Cameron didn't stop it, right? So, this anti-growth coalition we heard so much about under Liz Truss, they were in both parties, but it's going to be a huge, big first test to see if Rachel Reeves means what she says on growth. And if she can get through her colleagues, I think she can, and I hope she will, because Britain needs it now more than ever before.
Just finally, with the sort of push for growth, America first, make America great again stuff we're hearing from America, will that will benefit America, if they can just get things moving and cheaper, more plentiful energy, that is how you achieve growth, the tech world and the like. Is that going to make it harder for us to do well here in Britain, or if America is booming as such a vital economy in the world, will that help us? Are we going to be doing better or worse if Trump does actually achieve economic growth at the speed he wants to in America?
It all comes down to tariffs, and something that Trump has been really clear about. He wants a free trade deal with the UK, so we can get a carve out from that, and that provides us with a really good opportunity to basically grow, around the Americans, not really with them, but around them, and hopefully provide some really good examples as to what we could do to get this country growing again, something we haven't really seen since 2008. And I think that is such a huge alert should be going off, across Whitehall. If the Americans, they're already 40% richer per capita than we are. If the Americans get to 60, even 100% in the next 8 years, we're going to have to turn around and go, why on earth didn't we do what we were doing?
Well, they've also got a lot of, again, that is massively distorted, that figure. People have been spouting a lot about that figure. It's massively distorted by the fact there are some unbelievably super rich people. They've got quite a lot of those multi-billionaires in America, which we don't have as many of.
And actually, the average American, it's not wealth. It's GDP per capita.
GDP per capita, I know, but the average American for the last 20 years has barely seen any improvement in their standard of living. So that wealth is not being shared out in America. I think people need to remember that. Maxwell Marlow from the Adam Smith Institute, great to talk to you. I hope you join us again on the show. Claire Pearsall, Rachel from accounts in Davos. No one seems to care what Rachel thinks. You're not going to be looking to her for inspiration, are you?
No, you're really not. I actually slightly got excited when there was airport expansion back on the cards again. It was like, oh my, this is a good idea. This is something I can agree with.
And it upsets all the right people. Sadiq Khan, Ed Miliband. What's not to like?
Exactly. I think they need to do that to Gatwick as well, the airport I use the most, because it would make everything so much better.
But with Gatwick, they just want to use an emergency runway and just use that as a regular runway.
It's not difficult. It really isn't.
We are one of the London, I believe, is the greatest city in the world, certainly the greatest capital city in the world. And I've been to a lot of them. The idea that we've got a lot of airports. But we need major hub airports. And frankly, if you live near Heathrow or Gatwick now, you've chosen to do that.
Yeah,
they've been there a long time.
Yeah, I hear the aeroplanes coming over. We're on the stacking route for Gatwick.
At Heathrow. Yeah.
Fine. It just means that things are moving, things are flying. People are taking business elsewhere.
When people were celebrating during lockdown, isn't it lovely and quiet? You can hear the birds song. And I remember when I started seeing planes, I remember thinking, thank God we're back moving again. But there we are. Claire Pearsall, thank you very much.